Afternoon to all of you. Myself, Varsha Jauria, Assistant Professor of Modern Institute of Pharmaceutical Science, Indore. Today, I am going to explain about experiment number 2, which is determination of absorption maximum and effect of solvents on absorption maxima of organic solvents. First, object determination of absorption maximum and effect of solvents on absorption maximum of organic compounds. Requirements: solvents, UV visible spectrophotometer, cuvette, beaker, pipette, etc. Principle: first we have to knowledge about principle about UV spectrophotometer. Basically, spectroscopy is related to the interaction of light with matter. As light is absorbed by matter, the result is an increase in the energy contained of the atoms or molecules. When ultraviolet radiations are absorbed, this results in the excitation of electrons from ground state towards the higher energy state. Molecule containing pi electrons or non-bonded electrons, which is an electron, can absorb energy in form of ultraviolet light to excite these electrons to higher antibonding molecular orbitals. The absorption of ultraviolet light by a chemical compound will produce a distinct spectrum which aids the identification of compound. So, the applications of UV spectroscopy, as we know basically why we use any spectroscopy method. So, first, detection of compound, detection of impurities. For example, it is the best method for determination of impurities in organic molecules. Additional peak can be observed due to impurities in samples and it can be compared with that of standard raw materials. Structural illustration of organic compound, we can find any structure by comparison of lambda max or absorbance through UV visible spectrophotometer. So, this is the procedure how to use ultraviolet visible spectrophotometer. Make and model UV 1800 Shimazu. These are available in Modern Institute of Pharmaceutical Science. The UV visible instrument. First, to turn on, click the switch on the right side. First, we have to switch on. Wait for the instrument initialize. We have to correct baseline correction using solvent which are used for taking absorbance of any drug. Pipette the blank into a cuvette. These are the cuvette which is used for analyzing the spectrum in UV visible spectrophotometer. Filling up to the mark indicated in the cuvette. By the help of micropipette like this, wipe the clear side of the cuvette with a some paper if unclean. Now we have to kept cuvette in UV visible spectrophotometer, but we have to remember something. This is the clear side, never touch with fingers. We have to touch only opaque side of cuvette. Put the cuvette in the R slot in the instrument with opaque side facing you. Reference cuvette. This is the direction in which the light will be passed through the sample. Fill up the another cuvette, which is the sample cuvette. Again fill up to the mark indicated to the clear slide. The second cuvette is also blank. First, for baseline correction, we have to fill both our cuvette with same solvent for baseline correction and initialization of UV visible spectrophotometer. Again, place the cuvette with opaque side facing towards. Measure where the sample are placed. Now, first choose spectrum on the mode menu. Change the wavelength if desired to the required range value. Press 2 for range and enter the values using numbers. Once complete, press auto 0 to bring the absorbance to 0. Baseline correction next. Press F1 for baseline correction. This removes any background noise. Now, sample is taken. Fill up the cuvette with your sample, ensuring note the touching with a clear surface. Fill up to the mark which is indicated. If sides are dirty or have spill, make wipe with paper. Replace the blank cuvette in amp with sample cuvette. Leave the reference cuvette in. Press start to run sample after baseline correction. A spectrum of the sample will appear, the spectra of our sample like this. This is the peak for the sample. Now, we can notify the maximum absorbance of sample. To determine the lambda max, press F2. Press number 3, which is the peak detection, 460 nanometer, and maximum absorbance at 460 nanometer is 0.402. This wavelength is lambda max of our sample. Photometric. Choose one for photometric mode. Now, we have to select wavelength or correct wavelength. Enter the lambda max wavelength determined in previous state. Press start to measure the next sample. At different wavelength. Change the sample cuvette with different concentration of that sample and press start to get absorbance for next sample. Ensure there are no air bubbles present in the cuvettes. That is how UV visible spectroscopy is used. Now, in result, we have to notify first we have to make table, first serial number, solvent used and lambda max. There are many solvents which we are going to use for detection of lambda max of any sample. First water, ethanol, methanol, chloroform and acetone. Now, this is the blank side which we have to report lambda max of compound with each type of solvent. Result: maximum absorbance was determined using different organic solvents. Thank you.